Hi, welcome to episode 5 of Code2Clutch. Today, we're venturing into the heart of endurance racing, where milliseconds matter, strategy reigns supreme, and every decision behind the scenes can define the outcome on track. Our guest is Josefine Eskildsen, a systems engineer at Meyer Shank Racing, where she works on the number 60 Acura GTP car in IMSA's WeatherTech Championship. From monitoring sensors and fuel strategies to keeping the car's vitals in check, across grueling multi-hour races, Josephine is an integral part of the team. With a degree in motorsports engineering and a passion for empowering women in racing tech, she's proving that women don't just belong in motorsports, we're redefining it. Josephine, welcome to Code2Clutch. I'm so excited to have you with us.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
So, let's just start at the beginning. What sparked your interest in motorsport, and how did that passion lead you to pursue a degree in motorsport engineering?
So in high school, I did robotics. So I knew I wanted to do something in engineering and something that's more team-based. I didn't know specifically that I wanted to do motorsports until I was looking into the options. I wanted to do something more than just mechanical engineering. And then one of my teammates on the robotics team mentioned motorsports engineering. I looked into it and I just kind of jumped into the deep end and I've loved it ever since.
Yeah, and that sense of direction and purpose is just so clear because that's such a niche major to, pursue in college. And the fact that you translated that into such a serious role is amazing. So, how did, your opportunity with Maya Shank Racing come about? And what was it like stepping into IMSA and, working on a GTP car for the first time?
Well, I worked a few years on a TC team first, which is also a lower class in IMSA. And then I'm actually very fortunate that one of my classmates from IUPUI, that I had a classmate at Meyer Shank Racing. So when I was looking to step up from TCR, I reached out and they were looking for a systems engineer, and it all just kind of worked out. They offered me the position, which just shows connections are super important in motorsports. As soon as you make one connection, they just kind of branch out, and it's how a lot of people move through teams and through different roles.
Yeah. And, that kind of sort of jump and networking is so important. And it's really impressive how you found your footing so quickly. You know, I just want to ask, for somebody who might not know what it's like, can you walk us through your role as a systems engineer, especially during race week? And what does your job actually look like in real time?
So to start with the more boring stuff, when we're not in a race weekend at the shop, we're tearing the cars apart from the previous race. We're going through our list, making sure if there were any problems throughout the weekend, we're looking into those and see if we can fix them. And then we start prepping for the next race. We're also doing different pit stop reports to analyze how fast our tire changes were, how long it took to fuel, how long driver changes are. And we're also doing different fuel reports, fuel consumption and fuel error, so we can prepare for same race next year or just look back and see if we could have done something better. And then during a race weekend, we show up. Everyone on the team helps set up our tent and the timing stand down on pit lane. And then as a systems engineer, I'm doing systems checks. So making sure that all the sensors have the right calibrations and that they're zeroed so that the deltas look right on track. And then during a session, I'm looking at the vitals. So just all kinds of pressures, temperatures, displacement, making sure that everything works and it's working correctly. Um, and then during the race, I am also looking at vitals and I'm also looking at fuel strategy. We have another strategist who is looking at the energy. So we kind of work together. I feed him the fuel numbers and we can plan our pit stops off of that. And he ultimately makes the calls, but it's nice to feel like I'm a part of the strategy team.
Yeah, and that sounds like such a, like a high balancing act. You're not just reading data, you're making real-time decisions, interpreting it in like the highest environment. And you're like keeping the car fast and alive. It's so interesting to see, especially in endurance racing. And you just mentioned, you're managing everything from fuel strategy to live data. What technical or soft skills do you think are most crucial in, those high pressure moments and especially as a systems engineer?
Yeah, so starting with the soft skills, it's definitely important to be a team player. this whole career path in motorsports is team-based. So being able to reach out and ask people for help and knowing that you can't ask for help, it's okay. We're all there to do the same thing. We all want to make the car faster. We all want to help the car win. So just being a team player, helping out where you can, asking for help when you need it. And then for technical skills, you'll want to know some basic data analysis. Our fuel tools that we use for fuel strategy during the race are all very heavily Excel based. So knowing different like computer programs are going to be super helpful as well.
Yeah. And that, that's so important to know, especially if you're going into such a niche job in motorsports. And I know that, you worked everything from the Rolex 24 at Daytona to the 6 hours of the Glen. How do you prepare for an endurance race where, the workload just doesn't stop for grueling hours at the end?
It's a lot of preemptive work, to build up so that we're as prepared as we can be and we're doing as little work on the backside as possible. Specifically for myself, I stopped drinking caffeine as soon as January hit so that it would be super effective during the 24-hour race, and different things like that. And then also just like knowing that you're going to be surrounded by people that are there to help you. Some people, like the mechanics, will nap during the 24 hours, and you're counting on each other to wake each other up. Take turns having little cat naps. A lot of the engineers were just up all hours of the night. But if you're going to step off the stand to go to the bathroom, just, hey, I'm going to step off and someone's there to cover for you. But most of it's just preparing ahead of time and like getting as much work as done as you can as possible in the beginning so that everything else is just smooth sailing.
Yeah, wow, that does sound intense, the level of focus for hours to the end. And do you have like any specific race that you worked on that you really enjoyed?
I really loved working at the 24 Hours of Daytona. It was my first one. It's just a completely crazy feeling to be racing for that long, awake for that long. And when the sun starts to come up and it's like everyone's like waking back up and you can just feel the energy start to go up and up as the race is coming to a close. So it's just crazy for that. It's a really intense feeling.
Yeah. And I can imagine somebody like me, who's a motorsports spectator, has only seen that sort of like glitz and glamour from the outside, if it's even if it's like the 24 hours of Le Mans. It's so
Yeah.
interesting to know the behind the scenes perspective, especially, the fact that you guys are working just hours at the end. That's, yeah, really intense. And I know that you've been like really vocal about women belonging in male dominated spaces
Yeah.
and embracing your femininity while doing it. What has your experience been like as a woman, especially working an engineering role? And how do you like navigate that space, especially since motorsport is known to be, a really male dominated, high paced environment?
My experience so far has been overwhelmingly positive. I mean, there's always going to be a couple people that maybe they don't say anything, but you can just tell, like, they're like, why are you here? But overall in IMSA, I've had a super positive experience. I've been seeing more and more women as the year go by, like in the paddock. Most of the pit officials on pit lane are women, actually. I have more female friends in IndyCar as simulations engineers. There's a female mechanic on the Ray Hall BMW team. There's a female mechanic at Brian Herta, the TCR team I used to work at. So you just start to see more and more women every year. It's just about being confident in what you're capable of. So I know what I'm capable of. I think I'm good at my job. So I'm not going to let anyone tell me that I'm not supposed to be there. And it is something I'm passionate about. So I want to be there.
Yeah, and that level of confidence and, clarity is so important, especially, as a woman in STEM. It's just so beautiful to see, hearing you say that you don't have to like change who you are to succeed. That's such a
Yeah.
powerful message. And, for any young women listening, especially those who are curious about engineering roles in motorsport, do you have any piece of advice that you would, tell them to start building experience and how to like break into the field?
I would say, like I said earlier, motorsports is all about connections. So start reaching out on LinkedIn. You can send anyone a message on LinkedIn. The worst they can do is not respond. But honestly, a lot of people are going to respond if you have questions. And then also, if there are any local tracks in your area, a lot of times you can get an internship at a track before you get an internship with a team. And you just start to show up and make your presence known around the paddock. You can hand out resumes. A lot of connections in motorsports are built just from seeing each other in passing. You start to see the same people again and again. It starts with like a nod, then it's a wave and a hey, how are you? And you just start to build more connections. So as soon as you get yourself out there, it'll really help.
Yeah, just connect, connect, connect. That's
Yeah.
the motto, I guess. And so many do overlook, the whole process of building connections. And as you said, just go on, hand your resume, and yeah, hopefully, all of that does work out. And this conversation went by really quickly, and it was so good to talk to you. And we're nearly at the end, but I do want to squeeze in like a short, quick fire round if you're up for it. Just
Yeah.
with your gut, 1 or 2 word answers, just the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay. So night stint or sunrise stint and an endurance race?
I love night racing, but the sunrise just hits different.
24 hours of Daytona or the 12 hours of Sebring?
Definitely Daytona.
Okay. And favorite race memory so far? I know you said Daytona.
I might actually be winning the Watkins Glen race.
Mm-hmm. A dream team or a series you'd love to work in one day?
I would love to work in WEC and do more international racing.
Yeah. Any dream driver, past or present, who you would have loved to work with?
Um, I'm gonna say Michelle Gatting. I hope I pronounced it right, but she's a Danish female race car driver, and I'm Danish, so I just think that would be really cool.
Yeah, and she's part of Iron Dames as well. I think that's
Yeah,
cool. And I think just one last question. TCR or GTP?
I have to say GTP.
Yeah, do you have any particular reasoning why?
It's just, I mean, it's a step up. I did love my time in TCR, and I learned a lot. But it just feels like the real deal. Not that TCR is not the real deal, but it is just a different level.
Yeah, definitely makes sense, step by step, everything. And I know this is sort of like the end of our conversation, but is there anything that you're looking forward to for whether it's the rest of the season or the upcoming season that you would like to share with us?
I'm just looking forward to learning more, growing more. As it goes on, hopefully I'll take on some more responsibilities and do more field work, be more involved with strategy. I just think that's really interesting. That's probably where I would like to go in the future career-wise. More so than race engineering. I just think strategy is a really cool path.
Yeah. And all the best for it, Josephine, thank you so much for sharing your story and giving us such like a behind the scenes look at what it means to be a systems engineer, and especially one of the most elite racing series. So, you're not just keeping the car running, you're basically keeping the heartbeat of the team steady and working through all that data with such precision and grit is just so amazing to hear about. I was so honored to have you on Code2Clutch, and I'll be following your journey all the way and keep paving the way and keep showing the world, that there's no limit where women belong in motorsport. We should be here.
Thank you for having me. And yeah, thank you for also helping promote women in motorsports.
Of course. Thank you so much.